Hey everyone, it's Lily from SocioScholar. In the previous lesson, we walked through phenomenology. Today, I'll get a little bit more specific and compare existential phenomenology with ethnomethodology. One is more on the philosophical side and the other on the sociological side of phenomenology. I highly recommend that you watch the previous lesson if you haven't already because it'll really help you get a solid grip on what we're going to cover today. Just a little bit of groundwork before we dive into our compare and contrast. Existential phenomenology and ethnomethodology both explore the ways in which we experience and make sense of our world. They find common ground in their interest in human perception and understanding. However, their methods and focuses differ a lot. Existential phenomenology centers on personal feelings and questions about human existence. In contrast, ethnomethodology examines the everyday actions and routines people engage in to understand their environment and to relate with others. In other words, while existential phenomenology seeks to understand deep personal experiences and questions about existence, ethnomethodology looks at the practical ways by which we interpret our social world. Now let's head into the comparison. Existential phenomenology originates from phenomenological philosophy. It has been profoundly shaped by philosophers like Martin Heidegger, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Maurice Merleau-Ponty. While its main home is in philosophy, the concepts of existential phenomenology have found application in other disciplines, including psychology and sociology. In short, existential phenomenology explores the complexities of human experience, examining our existence, purpose, and the essence of what it means to be human. Now, on the other hand, ethnomethodology, which is primarily rooted in the field of sociology, was pioneered by the American sociologist Harold Garfinkel during the 1960s. It emphasizes the study of the methods and routines people employ in their daily lives to interpret and organize their social world. By examining these everyday practices, ethnomethodology seeks to uncover the underlying patterns and structures that inform our social interactions and understanding. Now let's talk about the main focuses and methods of these two. Existential phenomenology centers on the immediate and personal experiences of individuals. It addresses deep questions about what it means to exist, the concept of freedom, our responsibilities, feelings of separation from others or oneself, and the qualities of human consciousness. It also explores the profound aspects of what it feels like to live and make choices as a conscious being in the world. Ethnomethodology, however, focuses on how people use everyday routines and actions to keep their social lives organized and understandable. It examines the ways individuals construct and make sense of their social reality through routine and commonplace activities. Ethnomethodologists investigate these patterns to understand how societal norms and structures are sustained in everyday interactions. In existential phenomenology, researchers use detailed interviews to gain insight into individuals' personal experiences and feelings. The aim is to understand deeply how people perceive and interpret their own existence and the world around them. Instead of starting with a set theory, researchers listen and analyze the participants' stories and reflections. Through this, they uncover essential themes and patterns, trying to grasp the underlying essence of the experiences shared. Ethnomethodologists often use naturalistic observations, meaning they observe people in real-life settings rather than controlled environments. They might also analyze everyday conversations, written documents, or other forms of social interaction to uncover the implicit rules people follow. Their method often involves breaking or disrupting these unspoken rules to see how individuals react and restore social order, a technique known as breaching experiments. But remember, breaching experiments are not as common as they used to be these days. Some breaching experiments conducted in the past would be considered unethical with today's standards because of their intrusive nature. Now let's talk about some of the key concepts in existential phenomenology and ethnomethodology. Let's start with the latter. The first concept you need to know about is indexicality. Indexicality suggests that our understanding of certain actions or words is often based on the context in which they occur. Words and actions get their meaning from the situation they're in. For example, the word bank can mean a financial institution or the side of a river, depending on the context. If someone said, "I'm going to the bank," while holding a fishing rod, you'd likely think they're referring to the river's edge and not the place where you deposit money. The next concept is reflexivity. In ethnomethodology, reflexivity means that people use their understanding of the world to inform their actions, and then these actions, in turn, shape their understanding of the world. It's a continuous loop where our behaviors and interpretations feed into each other. For example, think of social media influencers promoting a new fashion trend. As more influencers wear the trend, more of their followers start to see it as popular and desirable. As more followers adopt the trend, more influencers are motivated to showcase it. In this way, the actions of wearing the trend and the belief in its popularity reinforce each other. One of the most important ideas in ethnomethodology is membership categorization. This refers to how people place others, and themselves, into specific categories based on certain characteristics or behaviors. We often use these categories to make sense of the world around us. For example, when someone mentions doctor, teacher, or athlete, you likely have immediate associations or stereotypes that come to mind. If you see someone in a white coat with a stethoscope, you might categorize them as a doctor, and this might change the way you approach and talk to them. These categorizations help us navigate and understand our social world. Now let's turn our attention to existential phenomenology. The most important concept in this field is being in the world. This concept is central to the philosophy of Martin Heidegger. Being in the world refers to the way human beings exist in the world. It emphasizes that we are not detached observers of the world, but are thoroughly immersed in it and engaged with it. According to Heidegger, we cannot separate our existence from our environment. We are always already in a relationship with the things and people around us. Imagine you're a character in your favorite video game, fully immersed in that digital universe, interacting with other characters and navigating challenges. Now, translate that experience to real life. As humans, we are not just physically present on Earth. We are emotionally, mentally, and socially engaged with our surroundings and the people around us. It's like being the main character in the grand game of life, constantly interacting and connecting with the world, making choices, facing consequences, and shaping our narrative. That's being in the world. The next concept is phenomenological reduction. This term comes from the work of Edmund Husserl, the founder of phenomenology. Phenomenological reduction is a methodological process that involves setting aside biases and assumptions about the existence of the external world to focus solely on one's immediate experience. This allows for a more direct examination of consciousness and phenomena. Let's imagine listening to a piece of music. When practicing phenomenological reduction, instead of identifying the song, thinking about the artist, or recalling memories associated with the tune, you would simply focus on the raw experience of the sound, the rhythm, the melodies, the sensations it evokes, without attaching any labels or external concepts to it. It's like hearing the music as pure sound, without the baggage of its history or your past with it. Now, as usual, let's see what the critics have to say. Ethnomethodology is sometimes criticized for its intense focus on the micro level, potentially neglecting the influence of larger social structures. Its methods could also be seen as too subjective, with a possible overemphasis on the agency of individuals in constructing social reality, thus underestimating the constraining power of social structures. Just like ethnomethodology, some critics argue that existential phenomenology places excessive emphasis on individual subjective experience, potentially overlooking structural or societal factors that shape human existence. Secondly, its often abstract and dense language can make its ideas seem inaccessible or even elitist to the general public, limiting its broader application. Okay, that's a wrap on phenomenology, friends. I think you now know the essentials about phenomenology, so we can leave phenomenology for now and move on to a new series. We'll come back with a new series on symbolic interactionism and Irving Goffman's ideas, so stay tuned. Don't forget to spread the knowledge by sharing these lessons, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now, it's time for some sun and surf for me. Catch you on the flip side.